We are opening, with this act, a door into a very dark place of state censorship of what we think, believe and say. I think it's one of the most dangerous pieces of legislation in a democracy that I've seen in my lifetime.
Hello MV UK and welcome back to the channel. It's Pete here. I can't keep up with this. This is snowballing, this story. This story about the Online Safety Act. Now, the government thought that President Trump's visit to the UK over the weekend and Monday would wash away this story, but no, it's not going anywhere. Now, firstly, I'd like to take a moment to remember the 3 young girls that lost their lives last year. 1 year today. Our thoughts and feelings with the families. But we must crack on now, and we must protect what we're doing in the country so that things like this can't be allowed to flourish. Now, what's happened is this morning, Peter Kyle has been over the news calling Nigel Farage, basically saying that if you disagree with the Online Safety Act, you are on the side of sexual predators. Just deliberately mispronouncing that word for the algorithm. At which point, where are you up to in this debate on Online Safety Act? Is it a ploy for protection of children, or is it a control thing? Now listen, let's set the narrative here. I don't think it's a very good idea. I think people should be allowed to do what they want. I think that children should be monitored by their parents. They should step up and take them devices out of the hands and send them to bed. Give them a day off a device. You're in control. You're bigger than them for a start. So there you go. Old school parent here. Right. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick look now at this chat from Labour, literally branding anyone, including Nigel Farage, who disagrees with the Online Safety Act as being a predator. Here you go. Roll a clip.
I see that Nigel Farage is already saying that he's going to overturn these laws. So, you know, we have people out there who are extreme pornographers, peddling hate, peddling violence. Nigel Farage is on their side. Make no mistake about it. If people like Jimmy Savile were alive today, he'll be perpetrating his crimes online. And Nigel Farage is saying that he's on their side.
I'm sorry.
Not the side of children who are...
I'm going to ask you to clarify. Do you honestly think to say Nigel Farage is on Jimmy Savile's side?
When it comes to online activity, we have seen unfettered access of adults to children via social media. When we put in the age verification, it stops strange adults getting in touch with children. So make no mistake.
This is a major leap. You're going to stick to the fact that you said that Nigel Farage is on Jimmy Savile's side.
Nigel Farage is on the side of turning the clock back to the time when strange adults, strangers, can get in touch via messaging apps with children. We have now asked to age verify the age in which people can have access to online content, so we can protect children from unwanted, dangerous content, and also those messaging services where people can get access directly to it. Nigel Farage wants to turn the clock right back when all of that, I have absolutely no doubt about it, people are perpetrating more crime online, more danger to children online, and Nigel Farage has said he wants to overturn every single one of the laws that keeps children safe in our country.
Okay, so he wasn't messing about there, was he? He wasn't. The presenter there pulled him twice, even pushed him after he let him go for a minute to come back to and say, are you sticking to the stance? And he dug in. He's like, yeah. And a bit later or a bit earlier, I'm not sure, he was on Parliament Square, the politician, saying exactly the same thing, doubling down. So yeah, I think he did it in Parliament Square first, then repeated it on air. Unbelievable. So to be fair, if the government was doing this to monitor the age of people that are looking at dodgy websites, or, you know, websites designed to harm or promote harm and death or other illicit things involving children, then fair play. But why does the government need to set up an elite task force to monitor social media? They don't need to monitor social media. What you should be doing is putting in securities on websites that you know are dodgy. What this is following on from my video last night. Feel free to check that out, where I outline some of the points in the Online Safety Act explainer on the gov.uk website. Crazy, absolutely crazy. They're coming after us, content creators who have an opinion that goes against the grain. Anyway, Nigel Farage was not sitting around to take this on the chin. Now, I released a short earlier with his output out on the street, and yeah, so I won't go into it. It's quite a little bit of a lengthy video, so you're looking about 3 minutes. So I'm going to put it up full screen. I'll be right here just to summarise and then leave you to your evening. I'd love to know what you think so far in the comments section. And if you're still watching this, you must be liking it. So do subscribe. It makes a world of difference to me. Thank you very much. And to all those who have subscribed, legends. You're legends. Right, roll a clip. Let's see what Nigel has to say.
Well, this is so absolutely disgusting that it's almost beyond belief. Just how low can a Labour government sink in its desperation? Yes, of course, they're in trouble. They're well behind us in the opinion polls. But frankly, to say that I would do anything that would in any way aid and abet people like Jimmy Savile is frankly just, it's so below the belt, it's almost not true. But all of this is, of course, deflection. Deflection because we were told from the very start, and by the way, it's not the Labour government that have passed this legislation, it was the previous Conservative government that have passed this legislation, which is why you've barely heard a squeak out of them. But if it's designed to protect children, then I sense it may very, very well have been drawn up by people who don't know what they're doing. I did ask Peter Carr for an apology, but he's gone out on X and he's not going to back down in any way at all. So there we are. You know, if you want to overturn the Online Safety Act, you're on the side of predators. It's as simple as that. Well, folks, let me tell you something. It is not as simple as that. In fact, far from it. In fact, my worry, our worry as a party, is that in fact what this will do is spend far more time regulating what adults can say. Oh, and by the way, isn't it ironic that 16 and 17-year-olds will now find it impossible to access all sorts of material on the internet, including current affairs and politics, and yet Labour want to give them the vote. Well, I'm joined in the studio by somebody who actually does understand the online world, does understand the tech world. I'm joined by our own Zia Youssef. Zia, let's just start to begin with this idea that somehow it's going to protect children. You mentioned to me yesterday the number of people moving to VPNs. I can show you a graphic now on the screen. There's been a massive increase in people going to VPNs. What does this actually mean, Zia?
So a VPN is a virtual private network. What it allows people to do, including kids, is to spoof, basically trick a website into making it look like that user is from a totally different location. So you can go on a VPN, happy as Larry, tap Holland, Denmark, USA, whatever it may be. And as soon as you've done that, you defeat not just these age controls that this legislation has brought in, but it also defeats, really important, and if you're a parent, it's really important you know this, if you're using your internet service provider's parental controls or monitoring systems, the ones that Sky, Broadband, BT, they'll provide you, it defeats those too. And as you said, it is the tech-savvy 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds who will run rings around these ministers who, frankly, dinosaurs, who don't get this stuff. And I want to go a step further than that. Not only does it send young people to VPNs, which also then, by the way, takes them in much more likely to go into places, the dark web, which make the ordinary web, not that there aren't horrors there, pale in comparison. It's a nightmarish hellscape. When we talk about protecting predators, let's talk about that. You know, Katie Lamb's speech in the House of Commons, where supposedly protected by parliamentary privilege, where she excoriated the record of people who covered up the appalling rape gangs, that's been censored. The transcript, the legal transcript of one of the rape gang legal transcripts that was retweeted by Elon Musk, that has been censored.
Yes, even Elon Musk's own post has been censored already, and all of this has happened within the first 2 or 3 days.
Correct, and one of the reasons this is happening, even on X, by the way, where you've got a hero like Elon that basically owns the whole thing. One of the things this Orwellian piece of legislation does, Nigel, is it makes the incentives for any social media company and management team skewed so that they're just going to over-censor. So 10% of global revenues is one of the penalties, jail time for management teams. And, you know, the notion that this is just about child safety, you'll have to explain to us why Section 44 of the Act exists, which allows a single government minister, a single Secretary of State, to unilaterally order Ofcom to rewrite the rules on a whim without parliamentary scrutiny. You'd have to explain why Section 179 exists, which creates a threshold where it is illegal to say something you know to be false, which causes non-trivial psychological harm. Think about that as a threshold relative to incitement for violence. And by the way, we know this Labour government, and I know it's the Tories who birthed all of this and passed it, this Labour government love locking people up for things that they say. So you'll notice nothing we've talked about involves making British people safe. And I know you're in a bad mood, quite rightly, for the disgusting slur on you, but Reform is leading in the polls at 34%. You are favourite to be the next Prime Minister, the most popular political leader in this country. And what Labour are saying is, if you are a British person who is worried about this authoritarian clampdown on freedom of speech, you are on the side of sexual predators. It's utterly disgusting.
Right, there you go. So he ain't messing around. And Zia knows his stuff. He knows his stuff about these sections and these acts and these articles. So well worth looking at that. Bookmark this one, save this video so you can revert back to it and just be on top of your brief. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to it. That's a quick one from me tonight to you. That's Pete from MV UK. See you soon.